Okay. Um, I keep seeing new players that have like never played before for EQOA. So if that's you, this is meant as like a complete kind of quick start and intro. And because there's a lot of stuff that's not well explained, a lot of the websites aren't up anymore, and the Sandstorm server, as of you know, probably Christmas time or even November last year, it's getting really close to what it was like on live. So this is good now up to like level 49, and everything kind of feels how it did for the most part. There's still tweaks that need to be done, but it feels good enough where you can jump into the game very much how it was before. So um, yeah, so I thought I'd create a new account and just kind of start a new character here. The first thing is race. This matters and it doesn't matter. For today, I'm going to play a monk, and the monks can only be humans, so no choice at all. Um, some things it matters, but usually it doesn't. Like a ranger, for example, or a bard can be only elf or human. So you only have two choices. Elf gets a little bit more dex, like a couple percent more dex at the end game, and the humans get a little bit more boost to damage and defense uh, outside of that. So dex affects some abilities and some damage. But anyway, you're talking about like 1 or 2% difference, and it's kind of situational. So it really doesn't matter. It does matter in some key areas. So the first site you have to get to know is the EQOA.4emotion. This has like a bunch of the quests. Like this has full quest lists for your starting city 1 through 20 quests, all the side quests, everything. Right. It also has a bunch of stuff on uh, here. I got there's other places for maps. Um, some basic formulas. Really this CM database is nice. So there's kind of two ways to XP. You get your XP, you level up, normal RPG kind of MMO. At any time, I have a 20 or so druid over here. At any time, you can go into the character, class mastery, and instead of XP, you can level up your class mastery. Typically, you're not going to touch this till at least level 20, just because it's kind of the same amount of XP to get class mastery points regardless of level, so it's much quicker to get them at later levels. And most of the stuff doesn't even open up till 20 or so anyway. So I wouldn't worry about this, but the thing is there are some racial class mastery abilities that you're eventually going to get. So I'm going a little bit of a deep dive here before we start, just so you don't, regret your race choice. It only comes into play on some builds, really, where it makes a difference. Like halflings, for example, like this one doesn't really have anything that makes a difference. It's only certain builds. There's also in the way end game when you're like 55, 60, you get a choice of one like specialization. They call it a class mastery. You only get one. Whatever class you have, like a monk will have two options, a druid will have two options, but you also get a racial option, so you can master in like your racial thing. For the halflings, for example, they get a lot of defensive buffs and they get a taunt spell, so you can like an aggro getting taunt, so you can make like a cleric a kind of a have a taunt like it was a tank. A taunt's typically like a tank spell. The human one isn't really used that much. For example, the gnome. The gnome's class mastery gives you a pet that does about 500 damage a round. So a lot of people, take a rogue or something, and then they'll get the pet instead of like the assassin specialization. So they get this kind of side pet, and it works out to be kind of a cool thing. But it doesn't really work with like a petter class because you already have a pet. As far as so there's certain combos that like if you're really mean to do it, it's cool. It works out, gives you some options, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. I would worry about the racial like kind of normal CMs you get while you're leveling up. 'Cause some of them do make a difference on some builds and only some builds really. Um, The Dark Elf gets a damage shield spell, which is actually pretty good damage. So you cast it on yourself. Every time someone hits you, they take a little damage. So like if you're a tank that's taking a lot of hits, or you want to be a melee maybe that takes a lot of hits, this is really for like Shadow Knights. This is one of the good races to go because you can get that damage shield. Shadow Knight doesn't usually get one. What are the other ones? Ogre. Oh, sometimes the site freezes up a little bit. Reload. Ogre gets an additional melee attack. This is like a little, I think it's like a 6 recast, strength based, and it's a huge mod on the thing. Like it does good damage. So a lot of people take Shaman's Ogre just for this ability because they can go and they can hit with the two-hander and do this ability. Because Shamans don't really get many damage abilities. This helps a lot, right? Where if if you're using like a warrior or something, it doesn't matter because you get a bunch of attack abilities. So this melee attack is kind of just doubling up. It still helps, but there's other options too. Like you can do a warrior that's a dark elf to get that damage shield, for example. So there's a few options here, but there's only a few that actually make much of a difference. Ogres get a pet that doesn't do much. So that doesn't really come into play. Humans get a group sow, which is called Spirit of the Wolf. This is basically your mount in this game. There's no actual mounts, but it's called sow. Several classes just get it naturally. Like druids get it at level 12, and you can just cast it on anybody. They move a ton faster. It helps. You're doing a lot of running around in this game. It really helps to have the speed boosts. Rangers get it at level 33, so it kind of sucks. Bards get a group one at level 12. Right, there's several. I think Shamans get it at 12. But this one is like you can get a mage or somebody that doesn't normally get it. If you go human, you get, run fast by yourself. So this is huge for some classes. It's a nice convenience. Erudites and gnomes leveling up get pot, which is power over time bonuses, which actually do help quite a bit, but it's not game breaking at all. And even early game, it's not a huge percentage. Late game, it's a very small percentage. Gnomes also get a little nuke, and it actually re-ups pretty fast. It's a good range nuke. When I do a warrior, I like to take them gnome. Because this nuke helps you pull mobs, where like a warrior usually only has like a max range 15 kind of little spells to taunt. This gives you a range 30 option, right? So this is really cool for very few classes, basically warrior. Maybe rogue. What else? That's really it. Like if you're not talking one of those real specific use cases, you don't have to worry about it. Pick whatever race looks good to you. Certain ones only get certain classes, so you got to be careful on that. The other thing, race and class impact, is what cities you're cool with. You can see here's the mainland map. Depending on race is going to be your starting city. Like Grob down here is where the trolls start. You can see that's a red coach. The way you travel around in this game is mainly by coaches or running. So like you can take a coach a couple zones up to this, take a coach over to like Oasis. You can see it's hard to tell a little bit between the green and the blue. The kind of good races and good classes are green coaches. The evil ones are red, and the ones that cater to both are blue. You can see like all the trolls start down here no matter what class. Let's see. All the gnomes start up here and clicking on. All of the elves start in one of these two cities that are right next to each other. Dwarves start here. Halflings start here. What else? Erudites start here. And ogres start here. I think that's it for the starting cities. Oh, humans, depending on the class, will start in Freeport or on the other side of the map in Quinos. There's Eastern and Western humans are actually broken up by different races, and different ones can only be certain classes sometimes. For example, I think Monk is just available on Eastern. Click in there. Oh no, okay, Western Monk. Can't do Eastern Monk, so I have to do Western Monk. Humans can basically be everybody. Ogres, trolls could basically just be warriors, shamans, shadow knights. You can look at the website and figure out which ones. What else on coaches? Oh, class impacts it a little bit too. So, for example, if I start as a gnome, if I start on pretty much anything as a gnome, I'm considered a good race. I can go to any of the green, any of the blue, right? If I start as a rogue or a necromancer, they're always considered evil. So even though I'm starting as a gnome, I'm with the evil pack, right? Rogues and enchanters both get like they call it glam on enchanter, or on rogue they call it masks, but it's basically like you can disguise yourself. So you can disguise yourself as a good or an evil. So if I did a gnome rogue, at level 3 I get a good disguise. So I can go and get all coaches in the game at like level 3 or 4. Same thing if I did like a dark elf enchanter. They have the ability to disguise themselves, the enchanters do. So pretty early on I can get a good glamour is what they call it, and I could get this like good coach right here. Like, I don't know, again at like level 3 or 4 or something. Yeah. So that's it to start. So let's make a character real quick and we'll get into some basics. I am going to do a monk, so I have to go human. It has to be Western human. And then there's a couple customization options, but it's like 6 faces or whatever. It's not a ton. I'll show you that in a sec. But yeah, you just get a male or female option. The age-old question of, do I want to roleplay or do I want to like what I'm looking at for hours, or both in some cases. But yeah, let's get you. Monk. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to worry about is points. These things, there's ways to rehab them later on. It's not painful. Right now, it's completely free. You can just rehab them as many times as you want to play around with different builds. Even when that goes away, once the server gets really kind of locked down, there's ways to do a quest for an hour and rehab your stuff. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But in general, if you're doing a alchemist, man, I'm not going to touch that one, but I'll touch the rest. Bard, monk, ranger, rogue are all melee characters. Any one of those, just do 20 points in dex. Keep pumping dex until like level 20. Don't worry about it. Start worrying about what you need to push up past that later. Dex will give you the best hitting damage. For the tanks, warrior, shadow knight, and paladin, I would do the same. Pump dex until level 20 because it's going to give you the most damage just hitting things, and you're not going to be, mitigating too much damage with agility or other things anyway to worry about it, right? Just dex for damage, maybe rehab it away later. Dex for damage at like level 20, start building agility. For any of the other ones, any of the casters like enchanter, magician, enter gives you power. There's some specialized stuff there. Really, you can get away with just not putting the stuff until you kind of read up on the class a little bit. The healer classes, cleric, druid, and shaman. I would just go charisma on all 3 of those. Charisma is going to help your heals, and although the 2 blinking abilities are what gives you power and what gives you power over time, you can cast possibly lower level healing spells for less power if you got the charisma mod on them. So in a way, it pays for itself, and it gets your max healing up. So some things you just won't be able to do without that charisma. So I'd be pumping the charisma for a while to like level 20 anyway, and then start breaking out into, wisdom for the most power. Yeah. So you can see like on different classes here, like the monk, dexterity and stamina are your 2 main kind of power. One of them's always primary and secondary. I actually don't know which one it is for the monk. All the other ones, like ranger for melees, are always agility as your main power stat. Dexterity is a second power stat. You'll get half as much power for putting it in dexterity, but dexterity affects how hard you hit. Agility affects how hard you are hit. But typically you're doing damage, not taking damage. At least on these guys. See the same stats there. You can see like a warrior, it's stamina, strength. I believe strength is it helps your damage a little bit with abilities, and it should help it on hits, but doesn't at the moment. Stamina is secondary, but gives you hit points. You see, even this one, it's not your power stats, but I would do dex first so you can hit things and keep aggro. Wizard, go dex eventually to like 20. Get those. This affects all of your damage abilities and pretty heavily. And then intelligence is how often you can cast them. It's your primary power stat, but you know, get the dex up first. It's the typical way to go. Okay, so monk. I'm gonna go dex because I want to hit hard. Okay, names. I thought I wanted these last night. Oh, yeah. Big. Swing. Kicks. Big swinging kicks. Oh, no. Oh, that's right. Okay. Let's see how many spaces we got real quick. 12 spaces. Okay. Ooh, I got it. All right. Sometimes this is the hardest part, and sometimes it just comes easy. Bag of kicks. Yes. Okay. I am happy with that. Okay, you can see the customization is 4 faces. I'll go with the beauty mark there for some reason. And the red eyes, yellow eyes. Sure. Hairstyle, you get, again, 4 options. Ooh, the eye patch. You know, I'm going with the eye patch. Hair length, I think you also get 4 options. Alright, and then hair color, I think you get a few more. What should we do here? Purple's not bad. Yeah, I'll go with the purple. Alright. That's it. Character created. Logging in. Sorry, this is gonna, it's a little in depth. Okay. So I'm gonna log in here. It's gonna ask me if I want a tutorial or whatever. I'm gonna skip over that because I'm gonna give you the tutorial. Yeah, welcome to Kinos. Okay. Oh, it looks like I'm not in town. I'm like out in the woods. Interesting. The monks are always, okay, there's a little different than usual. Okay, we're at a place, good. Okay, so every time you start, there's going to be your primary quest giver that's going to give you like, the first couple quests, and then he'll come back and give you a few other quests later. And then there's a second guy, which is probably this guy here, that's going to give you your other quests. So it's like, first couple levels will be this guy, then a couple levels to this guy, and then we'll go back to this guy for a couple more levels. And then like eventually at level 20, we go out in the world and we get completely different quest givers away from our hometown. The first quest is always, shit, I got a spreadsheet for this. Ha! I did some pre-work. Okay, the first quest is always run to a merchant, get a piece of gear like a starting tunic or pants or something for $0, purchase it, put it on, come back. It gives you right to level 2 immediately. Second one is always run to a spirit master, which is you bind your spirit at the spirit master, and every time you die, that's where you show up. So as you travel around, you can go to different towns, and you're like doing a quest there, you just bind locally with the spirit master, and that's where you're kind of returned if you die on the quest, and then you can just run back quickly. So the second quest here is always go to the first spirit master, bind yourself, and then go visit the coach, and then that gets you into the first coach wherever you're at. I'm at Kinos here. So I'm going to have to go to the coach and sign the coach. And then that's how you actually travel. So like eventually I'm going to have to like run up to here once, sign that coach, and then I can just use the coach between them from then, right? So coach runs are a big thing to like get places, but like you don't have to do much off the bat. We're basically going to do a bunch of those at level 17. And, yeah. So what you do here is you do the first couple quests. Like each one is just a level immediately. Level 4, I don't think it quite gets you to 5, so you do a little bit like get out there until you're like level 4.5 or something, and then it kicks you to 5. So when you return back with your stuff, you immediately get the next quest. And then I do the same thing at 5, where it's like, okay, I get, I stay out there till like level 6.5 or so, and then I go turn in my level 5 quest, because I have to run back, turn it in, and that kicks me to 7, then I get the 7 quest, and then I go out and, kill a bunch of stuff, and then get to level 10. Let me do that real quick, and then we'll come back to the quest plan. Actually, let me just give you the full quest plan. So, basically, I try and get to about level 10. And then do the level 10 quest, don't do the level 10 quest, doesn't matter. At that point, I try and make my way to Freeport. Freeport is where, like, south of Freeport, there's a couple camps here with crocodiles on an island. There's some madmen around a post thing here. There's something called Nasahirs, which are like kind of desert tents of people. So this is where all the, like, 10 through 17 kind of grouping happens. So if you want to group up with other people and level much, much faster, you go here. Grouping, like, you get basically the same amount of XP if you're by yourself or with a group, and you can have a group up to 4 people. Typically, just you need heals, and anything else is going to work. But basically, you need something that can heal, usually. You can also do, like, 4 pet groups, and then you just recast the pet instead of healing, or the pets have some self-healing also to delay that a little bit. But that's basically it. But, if you're talking like you have a healer and 3 damage dealers, or a tank and a couple damage dealers and a healer, you're getting the same XP, but you're killing 3 times as fast, right? So it's really advantageous to get groups. And that all happens in Freeport for those, like, teen levels. Below that, people aren't really grouping because the quests level you so fast, and you can just kind of solo your way through a level in like a half hour, and it's not a big deal, right? I did forget to mention one thing with traveling. It's going to come into play here. There's also docks, so you can you can just go and speak to the dock master without having to go there first, and instantly travel between here, Haznack, Highborn, and Bogman Village. So kind of these 4 points here are all just like you walk out on the dock, you ask the dock master, you don't have to go there ahead of time, and he'll port you. So basically my plan is to get to level 10 in Kinos, run down here to Highborn, sign the coach, and then take the ferry over to here, basically, from the dockmaster. And then I'm going to stay here to level 17. Occasionally, I'm going to stay here to level 17, and then I'm going to do these 17 gear quests. And there's basically one in every town for like 12 towns or something, and they give you so much XP each that it bumps you up to like level 21-ish if you do most of them. And they're all over the place. So there's a way to like quickly do them, and you basically get, almost all the coaches while you're doing it. So 17 is kind of when you get to 17, everything kind of slow, and then you do all this, and it gets you to your level 20 spell, and then things start hitting faster. Like you start double hitting on your character at 20, then you quad at 35. But yeah, then from there, you're level 21, level 22, you go to DM here. It's called DM, Darver Manor, and that's where you start grouping there. And then once you start getting into your 30s, you can group out of Bog Fens or out of Tea Garden here. A lot of people do their 30s in like Death Citadel. But yeah, so basically, once you get to 17, you take a break, you go do all these quests, you suddenly warp to like level 21, and you're in the fast game. And you got all your coaches and all these kind of levels at the same time for one big pass. I'll give you a quick rundown of how I do that pass for efficiency. Another thing is you get abilities from vendors every 4 levels or so. And then you also get them from quests. So like the level 3 one, it's like kill a rat or something. It's always like a little simple one. You get your first ability. The level 5 gives ability, 7 gets ability, 13, 15 gives you a single ability. Sometimes they're important, sometimes they're not, depending on the class. Level 20 is when you get your path ability, and that's you get to choose between one or two paths for your character, depending on the class. The monk has like a defensive buff, so they can get a bunch of like self AC, or they have a proc buff, which is every time you swing, there's a chance you get additional damage of like I think it's a AR resist, kind of like 100 damage proc on top. And then again at level 30, you get the path choice again. You can mix paths. You know, you'll have like a weak 20 from one path and a stronger 30 from another path. But most builds you stay the same path. And then, yeah, you get these little side quests. So for the ability quest to get your path spell, you got to do all of these quests all the way up to 20. They're all mandatory all the way up, and then you get your path spell. Then you can just skip all of these if you don't need the abilities and just do the 30, just do the 40. Oops. And kind of this pattern keeps repeating up to 60. And then you also have spells from vendors. Vendors, you get spells at level 1. You also start with one or two of those memorized right off the bat. But then you go to the vendor, get your one. At level 4, you go to the vendor, get a couple more. 8, 12, 16, and then 20, you also get the vendor. And then it breaks out to level 24, level 29, 34, 39, 44, 49. And right, you only get your vendor spells at those chunks. So this kind of same pattern repeats. But yeah, so essentially, do I need to do it all the way up to 15? Eventually, you do need to do it. You can go to Freeport and level up to 20 if you want, and then come back and do your 13 and 15. I do that all the time, right? If you don't need those abilities. Whereas like a ranger, you want to do your 13. Easiest path spell, the easiest way to level is the 17. So once you get 17, it doesn't give you a spell, it just gives you gear. They're complete side quests. These are not mandatory. It's not part of the chain. But yeah, if you do all those, you're warping several levels, you're getting other coaches. It's easy. Yeah, that's about it. So let me go back in and show you some of the game finally, like 15 minutes later, right? Okay, what do I need? Merchant coal for prayer beads. Oh, that was easy. Okay, for the spells, pretty much always you're also going to see a couple merchants right next to your starting area. There's going to be 3 of them. So you see like these guys right here, and there should be a third right around here somewhere. Huh. Anyway, one of them sells you your like 0 through 20 spells. The next one is like the next 20 level spells. The next one is like all the way up to 60. So let me just go see who's selling what. Okay, so this one's like the 20 to 50 spells. And this guy is going to be the 0 through 20. So again, if I hit start, start is your like main thing that gets you access to all your, you know, internal stuff. It's also how you quit the game. You're tired of listening to me at this point. Okay, so start inventory. You do start with some food to help you heal, but probably won't use it. Ability. Okay, so I started with mend and then return home. This is also if you don't want to die to go back to your binded place. This will take like a whole minute to cast. It takes forever, but it'll just return home without dying to your spirit master. Okay. Again, I'll hit the bottom button, A on an Xbox controller. It's the bottom of the 4 buttons. To memorize, put it wherever you want. You can overwrite, you can memorize all. The top button is kind of exit out of stuff. So X gets you into stuff. Top button gets you out. And then the left button, X on an Xbox controller, the left button talks to people. And then I hit the bottom button to interact, like the buy. So I don't have punch. And it actually costs money. Oh my god. Okay, but I do have mend already memorized, so I don't have to buy that. So I gotta earn 11 tunar to buy punch. Alright, let's see if the quest gives me any. Okay, this is just asking if I want to know controls. I'll show you the combat controls in a second. Like prayer beads. They're free. Thank you. So again, start, down to inventory, the bottom button, A on an Xbox controller, go over. Equipment, trade skills, miscellaneous is just kind of different categories for your gear or whatever you pick up. I think you can hold 41 items, something like that at a time. And you can see you hit the bottom A button again, and you get equip or inspect to see what's going on. You can see it's human and it's monk. So, you know, like plate gear only goes to like pretty much Shadow Knights, Warriors, Paladins, and like it's, yeah. And you can see if you hit it again, you can see the stats. So this one gives me 5 hit point max. Yeah. Not great. Whatever. So, if you haven't played this was a great game. It came out, you know, of course, after EverQuest for the PC. Here. So I immediately got 4th. I did not get money, did I? Damn it. Okay. Finished the quest, got more training points. You see it immediately. These are my level bars. The top one is the slow one, and this is the fast one. Like you do 5 of these bars, and you'll see these chunks kind of go. And then you do 1 of these bars, it's a level. It just completely leveled me exactly to level 2. Talk again to get the level 2 quest. Okay, speak with Spirit Master Low. So again, it's always a Spirit Master, then he's going to tell me, either this guy tells you just go to Spirit Master and the Coachman directly, or he tells you go to Spirit Master and the Spirit Master says go to the Coachman. A little bit about conning. So not the bumpers, right? Not the trigger buttons, but the bumpers, left and right. Left targets yourself. Right targets everything else. So I can just keep on, this is called conning. I can just keep on hitting it and it'll eventually get to everything around. It tends to go to the more centered stuff and the closer stuff first. Yeah. So if I'm targeting myself, I can hold down the left button, X on an Xbox controller, and get, you know, bag of kicks, who I am, what my level is. If I'm in a group, I can actually keep hitting that left bumper and toggle through the different group members. That's how to quickly like heal people, things like that. Where's Spirit Master? Cool. Coachman Bilfer. Now, on the other screen here, I brought over my druid, who's sitting at Coachman Bilfer in Kinos, waiting for all this. I actually have no idea where I'm at. I'm not in Kinos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite this guy. So I can hit enter, get this, and in say chat, this is the only command you have to memorize. Everything else is done by the controller. I'll show you that in a second. But if I do looking for group, LFG, I'm on the looking for group list. You can do looking for group off, I'm off the LFG group. It works in group chat, it works in say chat, it does not work in shout. But let me do that real quick. LFG. And then on the druid over here, I'm going to hit start, community, group, oh wait, no, sorry. Community, group finder, view list, and I'm going to see bag of kicks. Select invite player, and we actually, to kick off the group, we both get an invite from the like group management system. Now, cool thing, if you're close enough, you know, 1,000 yards, something like that, you got a nice dot on your compass in the top left here. So that blinking dot is Dottie. So that tells me where I gotta go. Another thing about conning here is like, okay, so you see that's yellow, that's red. Red means he's more than 2 levels above me, they will kick my ass. Yellow means they're 1 to 2 levels above me, I might be able to take him if I had more abilities, like if I could afford that level 11 one. But it's going to wear me out, right? And I'm going to have to sit there and wait for hit points to tick back up, etc. White is even level, so this is also a level 2 guy. That's also going to be fairly even match, actually, unless I got some abilities and I know what I'm doing. Typically, you can take a yellow after like a few levels. Is there nothing that's level? So below me, 1 to 2 levels, it's going to show up dark blue, and those things are pretty much what you should be going for if you're soloing. If you're in a group, you want at least yellow, light reds. Usually, you can also just hammer through a bunch of like whites and yellows. Dark blue is going to be the kind of biggest bang for the buck for soloing as far as like the amount of XP versus the amount of like effort and healing you need. Here we go. Okay, I got him conned. I'm running up on him. You can see here, this is the face of whether it's going to just aggro you and start attacking without you doing anything. If they're neutral like this or even happy, it's going to wait for you to attack. So the way all the attack works in this is the bottom button, A again, starts an auto attack. And you can see it kind of waits and it keeps going. The auto attack doesn't stall any abilities, so I can do this all day. Problem is I can't. Oh, it's a self ability, so I don't have to do it. So okay, so I have a nice little 50 heal, which is going to probably be on a long recast. And then, oh my god, I'm doing a 1 damage to this guy. I'm going to die. I blew my heal already. I'm going to die. Okay. While I'm dying, I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to give him Spirit of the Wolf. I talked about that earlier. Some classes get it, some classes don't, at different levels. This is the, like, run fast spell. So watch that pick up. Oh my god, I beat him. Okay, so I'm moving faster. I'm coming to the guy. I'm moving northeast. I gotta remember that. Okay, so again, I hit the bottom button to interact again, and he's empty, so I don't have money to buy spells. And I don't have anything. Oh my god. Okay. Whoa, the monks start way far out of town. That's crazy. Oh, one thing you did notice, I killed 1 white. Early levels, this moves fast, right? I almost got a full, like, 5th of a level already. I've almost got a full, they call this a yellow and a pink, right? So I've almost got a full yellow off of 1 kill, which is just amazing. Right, the first levels go very fast. Okay, so if you haven't noticed, so this was optimized and released on a PlayStation 2. It was never released on PC, and I think that's part of the reason it didn't get as big of a bang as like WoW or whatever that released a little while later. WoW, I think, released a couple years later. This released a couple years after EQ1, EverQuest 1, something like that. This isn't as hardcore as EverQuest 1 as far as like you don't have to do corpse runs and things like that. It took away a lot of the stuff that was kind of just like brutal time-wasting stuff. But also, because it's on a controller, I know a lot of people are PC elitists. Now it's on a PC with a controller. But it's so nice to be able to, like, just move. Like, I can just, look at this, I can just walk, run. It's just moves so much better than the PC directional buttons are. But yeah, it's really feeling nice. The other thing they did to get around that is all your abilities, you're limited to basically 2 bars of abilities, 5 each, right? And you use the D-pad to navigate through those, and you can hit them. And a lot of them are instant, some of them have cast time, all that. But it's, you know, you get 2 bars, and then you get a 3rd bar of like weapon swaps if you have a bow on a second one for ranged pulls, things like that. Usually like a drink to refill your blue if you need it. These things don't come in handy much past like level 20 in my opinion, but the swap does on some characters. You can swap over and have like a shield loaded. You can do stuff with it. Yeah, this is really, the other thing they did to get around a lot of the actions is the left trigger button brings up this menu. And this menu has a lot of like pet commands, so I can like tell pets to attack if I have them. It's also, you can do auto follow by hitting that, like, and now I'm following. See, just up. Target them, so bumper, left bumper, 24 druid, left trigger, up, up. It takes a while to kind of realize where all these things are at. The important ones, really, communicate down, player up, hail is used a lot. right? So if you're, hey, what are you doing? Boom, invite someone to group. You can do that, and usually they know where you're at. The other one's left, up for chat mode. Nice, gets you into say, group speak, or shout. One thing, the community is really good and knowledgeable because most of the people played this game like no-lifed it for 2 years, like way back in the day. So chances are, if you ask like a quest question or something in here, you're going to get a response. Like even like middle of the night, where there's like 5 people playing, someone's usually done that quest and will respond. You do get a lot of sarcasm though and stuff, so you know, weigh the responses. Okay, Spirit of the Wolf, and I'm going to jam. I think. Oof. I'm just going to follow the road because I forgot where it was. Oh, everything's way too dangerous. There are night and day cycles, rain, cloud cycles, things like that that are kind of random. It's, you know, it's kind of cool. And really, the amount they did with the graphics is charming. It's just, you know, got something going for it. But yeah, I have another video of a bard doing like level 49 stuff, but really, it's a really slow, like you can see like the little hit, and then you can do a little couple abilities you'll see in a second, once I can buy them. But it's really slow combat to get you kind of used to what's going on and how to pull mobs and all that and stay alive, till about, 20. And luckily, you just got to do it till 17. Most of that's quests. It goes a few hours. And then once you hit level 20, you start double hitting just with your natural little attack. Whatever. The natural attack, instead of that, it's like a left-right. So you get a double hit. And then at level 35, it turns into like 2 hits from each hand. Just boom, boom, like left, right, left, right. So that picks up, and then you have so many more abilities that you can make it through without running out of power. So you're just constantly kind of like, typical MMO stuff where you get the... Right, but it does stay real slow, and then at 20, it kind of picks up immediately, and then goes from there. Okay. So this is my first coach, so I got nowhere else to go. Good. Okay, so one of the cheats is I could hit ability return home right now, but it would take me a whole minute. Or I can just die and go back to my Spirit Master. Now, if I have this level 24 in the group with me, I'm going to kill things and not get any XP. You can only group with, like, someone that cons light blue below you, but that's typically someone that's 75% of your level. So if I'm level 10, I can group with a level 7, I think. Right? If I'm level 20, I can group with like a level 14, 15, something like that. And then the same, kind of the other direction, it's whatever the reverse of that is. Okay, but before I leave groups and see what's going on, I'm just going to cheat and just get some spell money. I know that's too much, but you could kill a few things. Just selling that will get you your spells really quickly. They're not expensive. So you see that bumped me up to level 3, plus a little bit because I killed something before. Okay, see, now he's not talking to me anymore. That's why I'm going to go to, like, the next closest guy is probably going to be the dude. Or Lady Monk. Yeah, they went pretty Tomb Raider hard on the models in this. Whatever. Okay, yeah, another thing is, start, if you hit up or down all the way, you'll get to quest. hunt down badgers and return to... So, I mean, ideally, um, this site has the quests and a walkthrough. This is 95% accurate. Sometimes it'll tell you to wait for a pop-up when you actually have to kill somebody. Sometimes the names will be slightly spelled wrong, things like that. Sometimes these notes are not great, very slim. And a lot of times, actually, it's notorious for not just being like, head west until you find this, and like it doesn't tell you how far, and like they're actually kind of south-southwest or something. And yeah. But this one's easy. Hunt down badgers. So ideally, you would actually read through the quest log that they're telling you, which I don't do. But then this will give you something. And if it's anything more complicated than that, you can always read this. The other thing it's notorious for is like some of these, once you get into quests, it'll be like multiple steps, right? Go kill this guy, then come back and say hi, and then go kill somebody again, right? Typical quest stuff, right? But the game's notorious for like making you run to the same area twice or 3 times, right? It's like kill this guy and then run back and say hi and turn in the item, and then go kill another guy that's standing right next to him, and it's like a 10-minute run each way. And it's like, just stop it. So save yourself some time to pre-read, but it takes your immersion out of it. So whatever, I'm just hunt down badgers and return to it. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. They call it pre-farming. Sometimes you can pre-farm a lot of stuff, like the 17 quests. We're going to just pre-farm everything. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm not going to walk you through that whole thing. And then, yeah, so other ones, it's pop-ups, or the mob doesn't even drop the item unless you have the quest logged to that part of the quest. So, but most things you can pre-farm. And you can tell that a lot from the write-ups, too. Usually you can tell, like, they tell you whether it's a pop-up or not, and whether you can pre-farm. Okay, but this one, I'm just hunting down badgers. I'm going to walk you through the first couple quests here, and then I'll run you through the game plan for the rest, and that's it. Okay, hunt down badgers and return to moon with a smashed badger eye. Okay. Community, group, leave. So I don't get all my XP robbed. And in fact, if they're over that much where I'm not getting any XP, I can't even loot the mob. I have to, like, yeah. Okay. Badger, he's white. Oh my god. I should have bought that punch. I had to go buy the punch. Alright, you saw me kill something earlier and it didn't have any loot at all, but usually they'll drop some whiskers or some, normal RPG loot, and I can sell that, and that's enough to get spells, like after 2 of them or something. Oh my god, they're not dropping anything. Okay, what's this guy, I think? Quick punch, love it. And I'm just gonna get... So this one will buff strength. Okay, strength is going to impact how hard my punches hit. And then I get another punch. Cool. This is Ember Punch, so it's probably a fire resist punch. I'll just buy those right away. Okay, so now inventory. My spells show up here. Use to memorize it. Back out. It's going to show up in the abilities now. I can memorize it. Almost all the character setups I have, like, here's my attack abilities on one bar, and then maybe a couple on the other, and then my buffs on the second bar. Okay, it's a fist-looking thing, okay. We need some stinking badgers. Okay, you can see now that I've gained a level 3, we can see level 2 stuff showing up as dark blue. I'm gonna take that guy out. Ah. Oh my god, what is happening? Come here. Okay, 4 damage, and then the punch. Boom, 34 damage. Oh, I clocked him. Okay, here's some little junk to sell. Okay, what's the re-up? Ability. Punch. You can see here, recast timer is 30 seconds. Okay, power is 8. Range is 4.5, means just melee range. So if I can do normal hits, I can do this. And no more. Cast is 0, which means it's like an immediate... I can do it and it's not going to, like... It might have a little delay, but it's not going to, like... Like, if I cast this, it's going to prevent me from running for 2 seconds, and I'm going to be walking like this speed. But if it does a 0, I can hit it and I'll just won't break my stride at all. Even though it might have a delay. Here, let me stop attacking. Yeah, okay, so it had a little delay there. You see that? So a lot of melee abilities have that. God, that punch is hilarious. Just boom. Oh my god. That is brutal. Oh, Badger. I need more hits. I gotta level up and buy some spells. This is gonna be hilarious. I've played a lot of melees, but I've never played a monk for some reason. To the face. Oh, uppercut. Uppercut. There's my smashed badger. Smashed badger eye. Sometimes the chat gets, there's some funny bastards in it. Sometimes it gets a little raw. I'm gonna have to go through the video and see what people were saying while this was going. Oh yeah, that's the other guy. Man, I'm glad I picked a lady for my character. If I get some monk gear, it's gonna look like that. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, it was sad to uppercut the badger to death, but oh, I must keep the eye to honor. Oh, okay. Don't pick that. Okay, I will return the eye to you for burial or something. I don't know what just happened. You told me to do it. Okay, so I received ability for that because it's a level 3. Level 3 gets me an ability. Level 5 gets me an ability, right? What did I get? Looked like a kick. No, I already know how to do scrolls. Okay, so inventory. Ooh, can I do these yet? Yeah, because I turned level 4. So I got a punch 2. And the kick I just got. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put buffs on the second bar. And then Ember Punch is also a recast 30. That's cool. Quite a bit more power. Kick. Oh, recast 6, so I can just kick all day, but the power's high. Typically the faster recast stuff, especially for melees, are less damage per power, but you can do it more, so it's more of an emergency stuff, where like these ones will probably be more, cheaper, but you can only hit them ever so often, right? Excellent. Okay. Oh, I got stuff now. Okay. And this buffs my strength. Character summary. Slower. Start. Character. I can either go to class mastery, which again, don't worry about till you're level 12. You do hit the bumpers to go between purchased and unpurchased, like what you can buy, what you have bought, and then left and right on the D-pad to get to like class, Rachel, whatever. And we're in there, you hit the bottom button, A again. Oh wait, no, hit X, sorry, the left button. And it gets you to what percentage of XP you're putting in it. Again, you see me getting like, if I hold down the right trigger, I can go up in the thing here, memorize kick. I got 7,000 XP for that badger, right? Each CM is 100,000, which is really like what one kill is when you're level 30, right? So you really want to wait till like level 20 to start even bothering with that. But anyway, character summary gets you to your stats. See, I got 9 training points from those levels already. Later on, the levels give you more training points per level. I'm going all index again. Save. But anyway, 65 strength usually impacts how strong my stuff hits. Let's see what I got. Gives me 10 strength. Okay, I'm going to unmemorize that as soon as I need to. Okay, and then I'm here for another task. Oh yeah, I don't have weapons yet, and weapons for monks are hard to get, harder than any other class, because it's just kind of a unique thing that only they can use, usually like knuckles or something, so it's hard to drop them in the wild. Okay, so this is a more involved quest. I got to buy a leather strip from somebody who I didn't pay attention to. And you see it doesn't tell you in the quest log. Like she probably just told me and I just ignored it because there's too much text. And an iron ore. Okay, and then I got to gather a smashed fire beetle eye. Okay, so we're getting into this stuff now, and yeah, so the only thing you have to worry about for gear, you look at it, and you're going to see a damage stat on weapons. Here, let me show you on the other side here. Here. So inspect, you can see it on the right too, but inspect, you're going to see it's a two-hand bash, which is, you know, two-hander or whatever for this. Damage is 269, right? There's a two-hander, but if there's a... Let's see if I have a one-hander. One-hander, yeah, there's a one-handed. Okay. So, you see those level 17, and you're doing 205 damage. A one-hander, like the base weapons that you buy from the vendor, and like the lesser stuff you drop, it's going to be like a level 17 is going to be 170 damage. It's like 10 more. 20 level thing is going to be 200 damage, right? So the good stuff is like 20% above that, where you're going to have like this. The level 17 is like 200 damage. But you see you out-level it pretty quick, right? So every like, you know, 3 to 5 levels or something, you probably want to equip a new weapon with a higher damage number. Even if it's not a great weapon, you're going to you're going to out-level your good weapon. The damage number here is a huge part of the damage formula. It outweighs a lot of stuff. So you can have a ton of dex, and you're sitting there with like some, you know, 5 levels back weapon, you're going to be just hurting yourself. So this is the one thing you got to keep up on if you're a damaging class that uses a weapon a lot. Like the druid, I don't really, you know, it's usually there for healing. Doesn't matter so much. On the monk, I have to keep up with that weapon every few levels and get a new one. Everything else can kind of slide as long as I'm getting, like, you know, enough dex gear and, you know, some hit points on it. You can kind of slide with even some open slots going for, you know, to level 30 pretty easily, right? And you're going to get a lot of gear from quests and stuff anyway. Like, just, you can use 10 level old stuff, doesn't matter. But the weapons, you have to keep up on the weapons. Okay, I'm not going to walk you through any more of these quests. You get the idea. I'm going to walk you through a couple more things. So, the Discord. This is the Discord. You should go here. This is where you're going to get all the updates from the, this guy's a dev. You can ask questions, you can get tutorials, you can get a lot of stuff. You have a bug, report a bug. You know, it's still kind of alpha, beta range kind of stuff. The other thing you should know is this server specifically has a kind of, here, EQOA live / SCP. I forget what that stands for. Anyway, you go here, you log in with the same credentials you use to log in the game. And that opens up a bunch more options here. One of them, I'm not going to log in so you can see my whatever, but one of them is entities. And where you see this left over and it logged me out. I searched for a rhino, it brought up giant rhino beetle. And then if I was logged in, I can hit map, and it's going to bring up the live map of, you know, the actual game that you can zoom in on, and it's centered on that mob. Which is, if I spend more than 2 minutes finding something, like it's also, the game's notorious for, like, you know, head west and find this guy, and he's actually like behind a tree over here, and it's hard to see, and it's just you're gonna spend a half hour wandering around trying to find the guy. So it just sucks, right? So if you don't see him right away, just come in here, search for him, hit map, it'll center on him, you can see where they're at, you can hover over and see the mob's name. It's great, right? It's unbelievable. Actually, let me pause this and... Okay, I logged in, I searched for badger and brought up a grim badger, and then I just hit open, and it opened on the map here. And you can see when I hover about the middle, I got my grim badger I was searching for. So this is invaluable for finding quest mobs. You can see this is all the live mobs in this area. Actually, you see the what zone my cursor is over. This is Blackburrow, Winderman. You can see this is the map. This is the live game map with all the mobs on it. I found that, like, if you go and do another search and then hit map again and this is still open, it's not going to move you to where it needs to move you, right? So you got to actually kill this, search for what you want, and then it'll open up, zoom to that mob. See, I'm over here in Kinos, which is this thing right here, and there's no zones or anything. You can just walk freely. You're going to run into some reds and probably die at some point, but you can see they're kind of gridded out. a bit where there's like no mountains in between sometimes. Sometimes there are, like this area here, the mountain goes between zones. But you can kind of, yeah. You can run, it takes, I don't know, like 10 minutes to run through a zone. So like you can imagine like going across just the world is like 2 hours or something ridiculous, right? It's massive. So it's really awesome. And different areas got like, this is kind of Sahara landscape, and this is, kind of a normal, like, I don't know, desert. You know, there's like volcano stuff, and there's missing lava storm stuff that's a raid area that comes later, and some tundra. But yeah, what else did I want to cover? Oh, okay, that's the websites. Yeah, okay, so once you get to, actually, zones. So if you hit start, you'll see how much money you have. You also see what zone you are and whether you're in what quadrant, central, southeast, whatever, right? So that corresponds to, right, here, Kino zone, right? So as soon as I walk across that border, you can hit start, see you're in Hagley, west. So yeah, that's how you kind of keep track of where you're at, where you're going. You also get the compass, of course. So anyway, the last thing I want to hit you with is the level 17 quest. Oh, snap. Okay, so level 17s have their own thing because there's so many of them. So as soon as you hit 17, you start doing stuff, right? Basically, all of these is find one thing out in the wild, kill it, loot an item, like a specific thing, and then you go turn it in, and then you walk over, 10 feet, pay a guy a couple $100, and walk back, and you get your like 2 yellows of XP at 17, right? You get like half a level at level 17 for each of those, and there's like 15 of them, right? And then by the time you're level 20 or something, it gives you like 1 yellow apiece. But you can see like just if you can mass like do them efficiently, you warp a few levels and instantly get to your 20 path kind of level range, and you're doing dual hits and everything. Like you get past the like grindy little boring levels, right? Um, so yeah, get to 17 at all cost. But yeah, if you're a good race and class, there's going to be, a face buyer quest, a clicking on quest, right? The only evil ones you're going to get there's Neriak, highpass is actually evil, and Grob, the troll town. Those are the only, out of like all 15, those are the only ones that are like for evil characters. And you can kind of work around 2 of those. So the Neriak one, you can get Invis, or if you have Invis, most classes, like any caster class gets Invis at like level 4 or something. You can get Invis and just walk from Bobble or from Clickanon into this town. Just Invis, none of the guards are going to see you. You walk in there's a pub fairly early on. In the basement of the pub, there's a bunch of rats. You kill those rats for 10 faction each. You kill about 30 of them, and you can sign this coach, and you're now friendly in Neriak. So if you do that, you can turn in the 17 quest there also. And if you do that, that's also the guy in High Pass that you're talking to is a Dark Elf, and you get the same faction with him. So as soon as you kill those 30 rats, you can do this quest and this quest. The Grob quest, it's possible to sit here and kill Froglocks, but they only give 1 faction per, and you need like 350, right? So you have to sit there for like a whole level killing 300 Froglocks. It's going to take forever. I've done it once. It sucks. Don't even do it. You can get an enchanter that's 29 or above to cast a spell on you to make you look like a dark elf, and you can walk in and turn it in. But, you got to shout for one and get lucky that there's one on and they're available. And I recommend just do the rest. Ignore Grob. Don't worry about it. If you're an evil race, you're going to have to make your own plan. Okay, so let me show you how I do the 17s. So usually I'm a gnome or an elf, so I start here, and even if I'm an elf, I'll walk over to Clickanon and then go down to Freeport and get these coaches on the way. But anyway, if you start in Freeport or Kino, so I'm going to run down to here. I assume you have nothing else. You start in Freeport. You take so one path is you go up here, you get Bobble, you invis, you get those rats, you get Neriak, and you go up to Rogue Clockworks. You can go and sign the coach and then go back. It might not be a bad idea. But this place right here is the area where you kill a certain Rogue Clockwork. You can look up the Clickanon 17 quest. And that's you kill that, and then you walk over, you get the coach, you turn it in. And then you go over here, get the Fae Spires and Teflon coaches, and then right about here in between them, there's a snake that you need for the Moradin quest, 17 quest. So you get that while you're there. Then, I usually go back to Freeport, and then take the what is it called? The Dockmaster. He's on the end of one of the two docks. He'll send you to Highborn. Highborn, you walk in, you get this coach, and then you walk up, you get the Kino's coach. And then here you can get a bunch of items right away. You start going east and a little hair of south, and I think this little diamond right here is a little cave. You get a couple spider silks for the highpass 17 quest. And then you go straight east to this druid circle here. And then you get the thing for the Kino's quest. Then you go straight east again, and you follow this road when you take it a little north, and right above this town is a wandering priestess or something, and you get vial of blood for the Neriak quest. So again, we're just one zone item, one zone item, one zone item. And again, you follow this road down, and then right up here, you're going to run into a wall, and you go north, and right up here there's a mob to get for the Highborn one. This mob is the only one you can't really, it's tough to solo unless you have a way to pull, like you have a pet class or you have a debuff spell. Like clerics have debuff spells, bards, shamans. If you're one of those or a petter class, you can do this. Otherwise, he's sitting right next to a high-level wizard. Get some help or come back later or just forget that quest. But anyway, you're right here. You go down, you get the Forkwatch coach, and then you go up and get Darver Manor. Now for Darver Manor, you can kind of walk along this road and then cut straight across here with Invis, hopefully. Go right up and get Highpass. And that's going to connect you all the way across now with coaches. Then I go back to Darver Manor. Go up to Moradin for the dwarf area. Get that coach. And then as you're going up to Halas, the barbarian land, right about here or so, there's another mob for the Halas area, so you can get that on the way up. And then coach back to Kinos. When you're doing the turn-in stuff, part of the quest, when you start turning that in now, it's going to force you to go to Windhaven to talk somebody, so you have to run up there and get that coach. So you're going to get that one also as part of this. And then the other parts are down here. So if you go to Freeport or Highborn again, to the Dockmaster, you can go down to Haznak. You can get that Haznak coach. And then you run across here to this pyramid, and that's where the Fae Spires mob is located. So you go and you kill him, and then if you know an enchanter, or if you know an enchanter, you can come down here now, straight west over here. There's a little froglock you have to kill. That's the Grob guy. So then you kill him, go down here. Usually, what I do is I get killed by a guard there, pop back up in Freeport or Highpass, beg for an enchantment to make me look like a dark elf, and then I just, res back and then run the quest really quick before the thing falls off. I think they last 5 minutes. But either way, you run down there for the Fae Spires one, and you can just stop there and go home and start running around turning stuff in from there. That's it. You do that, turn a bunch of stuff in, you suddenly have almost every coach and be level 21. Then you go back to your starting city, wherever it is, do your level 20 thing. Now you get your 20 path, and you're around level 22 with a ton of gear. Every one of those 17 quests gives you a nice piece of gear also. So you're basically fully suited out as well. Level 22 with your path quest. You coach into Darver Manor, and there's a ton of mid-20s camps around here, and that's where everybody groups for the 20s. And now you're really XPing, and really the main part of the game starts. Yeah. So that's my little intro, I think. Bag of kicks. Cool, okay. There has to be something I forgot. It's probably been an hour video at this point. I do recommend not doing a tank class as your first thing. And in fact, I recommend you dual box whatever it is with a healer. I would actually recommend you do a melee of some sort, and a healer. Like, this combination is perfect. Maybe they start in different cities, doesn't even matter. Usually the quests are slightly different anyway, so it doesn't save you too much time. Level them both up to 10, get them both to Freeport, and then you can start dual boxing with them. It's very easy to, like, on one side, just click a single heal button, and then it puts a heal tick down for, like, 30 seconds. You hit the heal again. You put it on auto follow, and that's really all you got to do. And you're mainly just playing the one character, and you got heals for days, right? And it helps you out with, like, often the healers will have Sao. You can always, like, tank on the melees when you have to. It'll allow you to run quests by yourself without having to, like, beg chat for help, or, like, doing, like, 5 levels past it to go back and, like, be able to solo it. It's invaluable. Like, hook up 2 controllers. All I did was, like, you just copy the whole emulator, and then one of them you open up and you point it at, I point this at, my DualShock 2, and I point this one at DualShock 1, and that's it. Both of them can use the typing. Oh, there's one more thing. Hotkeys. Some of the hotkeys pause the game, and it's like a live game. You don't pause. You think you're freaking out. But yeah, some of it crashes it. I take off any of these hotkeys, and you'll be able to type on both with the same keyboard. So you can tank on melees, especially if you got a healer dual box, so you can, like, go looking for group. Here, community, group finder, where we saw before. Again, I mentioned the level ranges before. But, like, I can just pick up that Shadow Knight who can tank for me once I hit, level 8 or so. But also as a melee or a wizard, I can tank myself as long as I can keep aggro off the healer. One person's getting healed, you should be fine for a long time. Even later on, you can put on a little more hit point gear and be totally fine. Some agility, be fine, right? So it's a good way to make groups. I can just go onto Group Finder and pick up any damage dealer I can find, or any cleric even, and have them just, like, hit with their weapon and be a damage dealer, like, just anything, right? And run a group by myself. So that's one of the best ways to get a group going. But tanks, it's a little harder, because if you can make your own group on that, but, like, I can also, as a melee, I can register as looking for group, and then someone can pick me up, right? So usually that's going to be someone dual boxing a healer and a tank by themselves, and they're just going to want damage dealers. So oftentimes you can build a Shadow Knight or a Warrior or a Paladin to do respectable damage, but people aren't going to pick them up as damage dealers unless they're desperate. So it's much easier to get some random group as, like, a monk than it is as a Paladin, unless they need a tank, right? And the tanks usually have their own healer as a dual box anyway, so they're usually just picking up damage dealers and starting their own groups. So, yeah, highly recommend just starting with a dual box if you're going to do this. Level them both up to 10, meet up, and now you start leveling them together and making your own groups. And if you're a tank, people have been playing this game, No Life in It years ago. People know this game in and out, right? And you don't. And tanking is one of the things they expect a tank to be fast and to be able to pull single mobs at a time and know what they're doing to be able to make the XP fast, right? Because this game turns into an XP grind. And, it's great mechanics of, like, especially with the controller, if I can bounce around these abilities and, like, really get in there, it's fun XPing. But it is an XP grind. So, like, the older school folks that know the game well, they're going to expect a tank that knows what they're doing. So if that's your first tune, the learning curve is going to be sharp, and your groups aren't going to like you for a bit. So it's easier to, like, do your first tune like this, and if you really like the game, you can come back, you really want to tank. You can figure it out while you're tanking as a melee in, like, makeshift groups enough to, like, get the idea, and then you can come back and build a tank as a second tune later. Okay. That's really it, I think. But yeah, if you have any questions, throw it in the comments or on the Discord or in shouts. Left, up, down, shout. Type anything you need. People are really responsive. Yeah, okay. Have a good one. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention. A lot of people are new, so you don't know how the grouping works. I'm going to throw up another video about, grouping mechanics, things like that. But they did pretty cool stuff in here, where a lot of what you're doing is you're managing your own POW. So for one thing, just blowing all your POW consistently and running out and then sitting there trying to stop the group to drink is not a thing. Like, typically you want to just your biggest damage is just your normal swings anyway, and these will add 20% maybe. So it's much more efficient to like do what you can while staying fairly even or dropping a little bit at a time of POW, right? And then just make sure you keep those hits going to keep the damage flowing and the XP flowing, right? So if you're going to start as a damage dealer, your job is to keep that damage over time going, not blow all your POW. If they pull an ad and it looks dangerous, blow all your blow as much POW as you need to kind of drop the one of the two mobs, right? Even like pull aggro off the tank. And spread the damage a little bit and drop it, right? There's several strategies. If you're a wizzy, you can even like root a mob and then kill the one and all that, right? But usually it's not going to happen. They're going to pull one at a time. You're going to maximize damage over time. So, yeah. The other thing the game did was they made tank taunts really weak, intentionally, right? Because if they could just hold aggro all day and it's no problem and you could just unload right off the bat, it'd be pretty boring being a damage dealer, right? I could just sit there and just right when he comes over, unload my damage abilities and keep, hammering him whenever I want to hammer him and not have any worries, right? The taunts are weak enough where you want to come in, you don't want to hit abilities, basically. Maybe just the light kick or something. And let the tank keep aggro, right? And then towards the end of the mob, the last like 2 red bulbs of health or something, or even halfway, you can just notch that down real quick. You'll likely pull aggro, and then you try and like maybe get 1 hit before you kill him or something. And then as you do that, you pull aggro, the tank can immediately start running to get a new mob. Or you do it a little further down where you start doing ability and stuff, and you just drop him before he even turns around. Yeah, so just something to be careful of when you're grouping of people expect you to know this, because if you just start going in there and just start hammering mobs right off the bat that a tank is pulling over, you're going to peel aggro off them, and they're going to have to drop a ton of power on their own abilities trying to keep the damage off of you so you don't die, or so the healer doesn't have to heal multiple people. Heal aggro is also like 2 to 1, so if I like heal for like, at least that used to be the calculation that we worked with, like if I heal for 1 point of aggro, it's worth, or if I heal for 1 point of heal, right, it's worth the aggro to the mob. They're going to hate me as much as if I did 2 points of damage to them. So if I could do up and do like 200 points of damage as the monk, and I heal for like 51 on the healer's getting aggro, right? It's double aggro for the heals. And the numbers kind of work out where I can keep like 1 tick going as the healer, and damage dealers can usually keep it off you with no problem. But if I get 2 ticks going, like if I pull right off the bat as a damage dealer and I start taking damage, I've already put a heal on the tank, and now I got to put a heal tick on you too. Now I got double ticks going for aggro. Mobs run to the healer and kill him, right? And now, or I put a 3rd tick on this, and I'm getting aggro from anything. I don't care what you try to do, right? So the group will expect you to come in and not go full out. They'll expect you to kind of like keep what you can without pulling aggro, without wasting too much of the tank's power to keep it off you, and then drop it at the end, right? That last little bit of the mob, start dropping abilities to finish them off quicker, right? But you hold out for a little bit for that. Yeah, that's real important. But if you know that, you understand that, and you kind of see the aggro of them, like you see the mob turning towards you, maybe you went a little too hard too early. But if you pull them when they're like in the last little bit, and you kind of maybe take the last couple hits when you drop them, that's not so bad. That's kind of even expected in some groups to speed things up. It's fine. But try to like drop them at the end for the most part, where maybe they're starting to turn or just dropping at the end without paying attention to you at all. Okay. Well, without higher level examples, which I'll throw up later, that's enough of an hour and a half intro. Have a good one. Okay, one last thing. I forgot to use his abilities. I got to show you guys what this quickly turns into, especially if you got a rogue or even a ranger, but like any of the damage dealing classes. Where's a white one? So I got some abilities now. I can like drop something if I want to drop all my abilities on it and waste power. It's not wasting power with this, but come on, blues. Alright, well, sorry, Badger. Oh, good lord. Okay. Yeah, so now I'm just a monster, right? So I can just do this to probably whites all day without even like a problem. But even the kick that recasts fast Come on, stop running. I need to smack you. Boom. Right, the kick is even going. You can see my XP is going up crazy. Right, I'm getting a pink purr, so I only have to kill... How many dark blues even at this level? It's not a lot. I forgot I was even getting. Smashed firefly, right. Firefly? Yeah. Fire beetle. Fire beetle. Right, so I can't even hit these on these. I need a yellow to be able to even run through all these kicks and destroy stuff. But yeah, anyway. Now it's starting to get fun already. Monk power.